Good morning, welcome to Catex TV. Today is Thursday, March 26, 2015. My name is Matt Bernat, filling in for Frank Fortunato, who is away this week. As always, you can follow more news updates on our Twitter account at Catex TV. Audio from the mangled voice recorder of Germanwings Flight 9525 reveals the captain was locked out of the cockpit while the co-pilot appeared to make a deliberate attempt to destroy the plane, Marseille prosecutor Bryce Robin said Thursday. The co-pilot of the doomed flight activated the descent of the plane when he was alone in the cockpit. This can only be done deliberately. From what investigators have found, it seems the co-pilot wanted to destroy the aircraft. However, as of now, there is nothing to say that this was a terrorist attack. The co-pilot was German and not on any terrorism list. His name was reported as being Andreas Lubitz. When a reporter asked whether the prosecutor knew Lubitz's religion, it was not known at this time. The most plausible explanation of the crash is that the co-pilot, through deliberate abstention, refused to open the cabin door to the chief pilot and used the button to cause the plane to lose altitude. Screaming can be heard on the audio recording only in the last few minutes, and death was instantaneous for those on board. They are not thinking of calling this a suicide. Explain that when you're responsible for 150 people, it's probably not the best idea. Bodies will not be released yet as they are being tested for DNA to identify the victims. The co-pilot was fully qualified to fly the plane on its own. He only had about 100 hours of experience on the type of that he was flying, but he did have all necessary certifications and licenses to pilot the aircraft. The families of the crash victims were told the same information as reporters. The families of the two pilots are also in France, but not in the same place as the relatives, and these conclusions are just preliminary for now. The second black box is still lost. This will be critical to helping understand the mystery of what was going on inside the jet. That box, the flight data recorder, has yet to be found, but there is a high probability that it will be. The Lloyd's of London insurance and reinsurance market remains determined to harness the alternative reinsurance capital trend according to its latest annual report, which shows the market's return on capital dropped to 14.7% from 16.2%. Lloyd's, as a specialty provider of insurance and reinsurance products across a vast range of business lines, is acutely exposed to the growing influence and expansive nature of third-party reinsurance capital from institutional investors wielded by insurance-linked securities investment managers. It's also exposed to increasing competition from new reinsurance business models, particularly those that seek to disintermediate the market, retain more of the profit from risk business, or that look to do things more efficiently and at lower cost. The end result is pressure across much of Lloyd's once core business lines, particularly property, catastrophe of course, but also in specialty risk lines such as marine and energy, and increasingly casualty lines. Pressure is also weighing on the market. So it stands to reason that Lloyd's would continue to target alternative capital and seek to attract it to do business in the market. Once again, the market's annual report discusses the alternative ILS and third-party reinsurance capital trend in some detail. China's biggest reinsurer has attracted lowball bids from banks vying to sponsor its Hong Kong IPO, highlighting the intense competition between underwriters for one of the country's biggest listings of the year. China Reinsurance Group Corporation, which is looking to raise around $2 billion in the second half of this year, received bids as low as $30,000 US from two would-be sponsors, according to four sources involved in the process. That is far lower than the $500,000 US that banks typically charge to cover their work on due diligence and documentation. With no mammoth transaction on the cards to match the 2014's $25 billion listing of Chinese e-commerce giant Alibaba Group, the unusually low bids show banks are fighting to lead one of the few big overseas IPOs of the year from China's public sector. The low bids also call into question regulators' efforts to encourage more thorough due diligence on the companies its sponsors bring to market. Hong Kong Securities and Futures Commission announced rules in 2013 to hold sponsors criminally liable for false or incomplete disclosure on IPO prospects. The market watchdog said in a consultation conclusion in December 2012 that sponsor fees should appropriately reflect the sponsor's role and responsibilities. The United States Geological Survey says a moderate earthquake struck west of Vancouver Island. The magnitude 4.9 quake hit Wednesday at about 12:22 p.m. local time, about 90 miles southwest of Port Hardy, British Columbia. Port Hardy Mayor Hank Bood said that the quake was not felt in his community on northern Vancouver Island. Natural Resources Canada said that there were no reports of damage and none was expected. No tsunami warnings were issued at this time. A small earthquake also rocked northwest suburban Lake in the Hills, Illinois on Wednesday night. The earthquake happened at 6:08 p.m. local time, measuring 2.9 on the Richter scale, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. It was centered about 2 kilometers west of Lake in the Hills. Residents reported feeling the quake in parts of Crystal Lake, Lake in the Hills, Huntley, Union, Woodstock, Wonder Lake, and as far away as Elgin, according to the United States Geological Survey. Citing increased seismic activity, the U.S. Geological Survey is upgrading the volcano alert status for Semisopochnoi in the Aleutian Islands volcano to advisory, the agency issued Wednesday morning. Seismic activity in that region began in January, but has increased in intensity over the past few days, the USGS wrote in a notice. In addition, they detected brief periods of seismic tremor, which can indicate movement of magma or magmatic gases. This volcano is remote even by Alaskan standards. It lies on an island of the same name, about 127 miles from Adak, or over 1,250 miles from Anchorage. It last erupted in 1987. That's the news today. Thank you for watching. If we have any important breaking news, you can catch it on our Twitter account at Catex TV. As always, thank you for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.